This is Rhonda Brooks of Farm Journal Media, and I'm here at Corn College in the South today, and one of our speakers was Larry Steckel, who's a weed specialist out of University of Tennessee Extension. We're really happy to have you with us today, Larry. And one of the things that we've been talking about is what are you hearing as far as going into 2012 farmers' crop makeup? What do you think we're going to see?
Okay, Rhonda, it was really good to get to visit with you all today. And a lot of the growers I talked to, the mix they're kind of looking at right now, and of course it's a subject to change as always, is basically a little bit down on soybeans, particularly in the state of Tennessee. We had pretty low soybean yields, and everybody kind of dictates on what happened last year. But you look at that in prices, they're talking down on soybeans a little, up on corn, cotton probably flat and maybe down a little. That's kind of what I'm hearing now. And part of the talk I gave today was kind of talking about maybe taking advantage of some of these extra corn acres and trying to manage our glyphosate-resistant weeds we have out there, because corn can be an effective rotation to help us manage soybean fields or cotton fields that have been really a struggle with glyphosate-resistant, particularly palmer pigweed.
Yeah, something that stuck in my mind was you said weed control in corn starts 30 days before you plant and 30 days after you harvest. What did you mean by that, Larry?
It does. You have to think about, at least here in the South, where we're combating, well, we got 9 glyphosate-resistant weed species, but 2 that are everywhere are horseweed or mare's tail and palmer amaranth or palmer pigweed. And for mare's tail, you got to think about it 30 days before you plant the crop, because it's up. It's something you got to contend with going in. With palmer pigweed, because it has such a long germination window, even if you do a good job up front, and we have a lot of growers, that'll do a doggone good job with their weed control in their corn up front, up till tassel practically, but palmer pigweed can germ later than that. And particularly in a year like this, where we had a lot of wet conditions, we had some poor corn stands and spots, light hits the ground, you get a late flush of palmer pigweed, you can't see it, it's kind of invisible. It's going to produce a pile of seed that when you rotate back to soybeans or cotton the next year, you're going to have to try and manage. And it really can be an issue, and you think you're really doing a good job rotating, managing your weed pressure and knocking the seed production down, and just the opposite's happening. You're getting them.
You had some pretty ugly slides showing some palmer amaranth coming through that corn late in the season and getting pretty big.
Yeah, 5-6 foot tall, and it's coming up a lot of times in July and starting to get a start then. And as the corn dries down here, typically in Tennessee, in August it's pretty brown, and we're actually cutting our corn in August. We're getting light hit the ground, you get a big flush, it'll get a lot of growth and can produce a lot of seed.
So at that point, what are you telling guys to do?
Well, that's where we're talking about weed control, not just 30 days before you plant the corn, but actually 30 days after you harvest the corn. And we have a number of growers now that just trying to, because it is a seed game, trying to keep the palmer pigweed seed bank down, of going out and either spraying gramoxone right after they run the combine through the field, or they're disking the field, or they're bush hogging the field, or some combination thereof, over and above what we'd ever thought of doing 5-6 years ago.
And is that a fairly new thing that you're seeing, that you're telling guys to do, or is this something that's been going on for a few years?
Well, it's been going on a couple of years now, but it's been very clear to me that the complete solution to managing glyphosate-resistant palmer pigweed you can't find completely out of a jug. It's going to have to be some other characteristics, and one of them is managing weed seed production even after harvest, after you've harvested the crop. And some of that might be a disc in the field, might be spraying some gramoxone on it, bush hogging, some combination thereof.
Okay. One other thing you mentioned to me too is that in talking with farmers that sounds like quite a few of them are going to be planting Liberty Link soybeans going into 2012, and that represents a management change perhaps for them to be thinking about.
It does in a number of ways. This is really the first year in Tennessee. Some of the other southern states, they've had a pretty good amount of acres of Liberty Link soybeans. In Tennessee, we've had very little, but this year, talking to a lot of our retailers, there's going to be a pretty good amount of Liberty Link soybeans planted. And my biggest fear with it is folks are going to try and use it like they did Roundup. And what I mean by that is a couple things. Number one is just going out and spraying big pigweeds with Roundup late and expecting good control like we used to get with Roundup. It's not going to happen with Liberty. You're going to burn them. Anything under 6 inches you'll probably kill. Anything above 6 inches to 8-10 inches, you'll burn them. It'll come back. Now, you got an outside chance if you can get on it another 10 days, 7 to 10 days later to hit it again with another shot of Ignite, you have a pretty good chance of controlling it. But it's not like Roundup where you could just spray with Ignite and leave it and expect good control. Another big difference is coverage. Ignite's a contact herbicide, and in order to get good control with it, you have to get good coverage. A lot of our growers now are, very common with 7, 8, 9, 10 gallons per acre. Now they're going 15 to 20 gallons per acre with Ignite. They're doing it with the other contact herbicides too, like Flexstar. But nobody wants to carry more water to the field and spray it. But in order to get good control of pigweed with the herbicides we're using now, whether it's Ignite or even Flexstar, we have to do that.
So have plenty of water in your tank as a carrier, and get those weeds when they're small, 4 inches and under. And I understand from Bayer, talking to them, that their other big news is they're going to be switching to Liberty herbicide. They've been Ignite now for a couple of years. Is that?
Yeah, I think that may be a little bit confusing to folks. But yeah, it used to be you had Liberty Link soybeans or Liberty Link cotton, you spray Ignite on it. Now they're going to call it Liberty again, which is what it was, of course, a few years ago, as you alluded to. And basically it's the same herbicide, going to be the same application, but it's just going to have a different name on the jug.
All right. Well, Larry, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Nice talking to you.
Thank you, Rhonda.